This photo was shot at ISO 10,000 on a micro four thirds, and it's going to look clean soon. Let me show you how. I'm going through photos from this summer and this autumn that I haven't shared yet. When you have a smaller sensor like I do, a micro four thirds, there is a lot of ISO noise within the image. And high ISO gets ugly really fast. But I want those shots that I took here, which are a lot of interesting ones that have a lot of ISO, unfortunately, to be on my website. And I just don't want them to be buried on my hard drive. I just want them to be on my website, on paper, to see them and to feel them, to actually take them in my hands, look at them and be proud of my work. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to look at a few selected photos and I'm going to show you exactly how I use DxO to reduce the noise on those images and get tech sharp results with it. Finally, I'm going to edit them a little bit with Lightroom and prepare them for my website and show you a little bit of my process of doing this. And obviously, as I mentioned within the other videos that I'm doing, I want them to be printed on paper, to feel them, to look at the texture and to enjoy them. Alright, so my first step is to select the images I'm going to work on, and here are a few that I want to add on my website. I've selected those so I can look at them and edit them, then publish them on my website. I really loved this image from this summer with adult starling looking at a baby one that has its eyes on some food. And if we look at this, it's been shot with my 300mm at ISO 1000. And the thing is, this is already noise reduction, so we are going to do just a little bit of edit on it. But before I go there, there is another really nice photo that I captured in this episode where I sat still for 45 minutes in a forest. And it's this one of a wren. And as you look at it, there is definitely a lot of noise here. And I can see it's ISO 10,000. So let me show you what it's like for me to actually get rid of this noise that I have when I'm using OM system, which is a micro thirds camera. And what I do is I have DxO Pure Raw installed, and we are going to get the image open within DxO and do the noise reduction there, which most of the times it's way better than Lightroom or other software that I try. So let's switch to DxO and do the noise reduction there. You can already see that if you are going to use the Deep Prime model preset and use their ultimate quality and extra details like with the XT2 functionality, and you look over here, you can already see a lot of the noise just disappearing out of the blue. But the problem with wildlife photography is preserving the details and not doing damage to the image. Watch this. The technology in DxO uses AI to separate the actual details from the noise. And as I drag this slider, we can see that a lot of those details are very well preserved in this image. As I look at it, it already looks really good without the noise and with a very high quality, but it looks a little bit softer. So this is why I'm using the optical corrections functionality to add a little bit of this sharpness within my image and make sure that my subject is crystal clear. So I'll go with soft for this image because it was already very sharp, and I'm going to drag down and up the intensity so I can get a result that I'm satisfied with, but that doesn't make the image look funny or have artifacts or things like that. I already see that I preserve the details in this photo and I have a very sharp image. Now, the great thing is I can use this on my website, I can use this on print, I can use this on Instagram and other social networks, and that's because when I'm going to export the photo, I'm going to export it with a smaller resolution, which is going to fit all those details. Here is the image back in Lightroom, and we can already see it's absolutely fantastic. It looks out of this world, and the details are insane, even at ISO 10,000 in a very cloudy day. What I usually do is I have my wildlife preset or my style preset that I apply to most of my photos. This does a little bit of color grading, does a little bit of tone curve calibration, color mixing, and I just adjust the little other details on the image as I finish this. By default, this preset also has denoise done in Lightroom, but we've already did this in DxO, so it's not required anymore. There is a little bit of detail enhancement as well that I think we need to get down and disable this level of sharpening so we don't create any further artifacts. But then let's see what's happening within the color mixer. So the greens become a little bit more dark. Then in the color grading, I like to add a little bit of blue in the shadows and a little bit of warm tones in the highlights to do a little bit of contrast and to get this result. As you can see, the image already looks really good. But from here, what I'd like to do is to maybe add a little bit more feel of how the moment felt for me. It was a little bit more sunny, so we have a little bit more warmth. Also, there was a lot of green around me, so not that much of a purple reflection. And obviously I want to add a little bit more contrast within the scene because it was a little bit more contrasty and a little bit of saturation and vibrance. Finally, the light was coming from somewhere above and it was a radial light. So what I like to do is I like to add a gradient from where the suns come from, add a little bit of texture, a little bit of exposure, a little bit of more temperature to make it look like the sun was there. And also I love to add some masks to make my subject pop up a little bit more. So I usually do this by creating a mask that draws your eye towards the subject, invert it, and then decrease the exposure overall. This is where we were at, and this is where we are now, where we were at and where we are now. And you can already see that this is a lot of changes within the image, but I still feel it's a little bit unfinished because the temperature. So maybe we can drag that a little bit towards the initial, and here we have it. I'm really happy with this image. So going back to my selection, to the next photo, which is this one that I really loved with this squirrel. But again, this one has 2000 ISO. It's shot with 150 to 600 millimeters, and it's a little bit noisy as well. So let's take this into DxO, and in here I want to zoom in a little bit to see before and after, and I can already see that it looks really great without the noise, but it's not as sharp as it was initially because the intensity is not even set to soft or to standard. So I'll set it to standard in this case, and we are going to get a little bit more detail and wait for DxO to process it. This is my technical setup when I edit my photos. DxO handles the technical cleanup and Lightroom handles the creative vision. And it's two tools to do only one job, but this way is how I'm doing it in a very good way. So you can see this already looks really good. But for this one, instead of going for a preset, I'm going to do some slight changes and apply an S-curve to it, do a little bit of maybe updates to the S-curve to raise a little bit the shadows and flatten the highlights to get this nice effect. I'm going to do a little bit of color grading and add maybe in the shadows a little bit of warmer tones and in the highlights, to contrast with that, a little bit of colder tones. Then I'll do some vignetting to pull your eyes towards this. I'll apply 4x5 crop and maybe do a vertical crop from here and put my subject right here within this frame. And you can already see this is a way better composition and it looks really nice. So now let's add a linear gradient here, darken a little bit the image, add a radial gradient from where the sun comes and raise a little bit the highlights and make it a little bit more warm. And finally, let's add another linear gradient to the bottom here that's going to darken this a little bit. Pull down the highlights and the whites and a little bit up the blacks and the shadows, and you can see that this is how it was looking before and this is how it's looking now, before and now. And I think that we can also add a little bit in the calibration section. We can tint it a little bit here, make the primary hue for reds a little bit towards more yellow, and play a little bit with the greens in this image. And then in the color mixer I will take these browns, raise them and change a little bit the hue and maybe the saturation of the yellows, but also increase the saturation of the browns in the image and the reds. And finally I'll add a subject mask, which is here, and it's pretty good as a mask. I'll do maybe a little bit of exposure here. Okay, this looks interesting, and yeah, I think this is it, the final image. Quick thing, I'm building an email list where I'll share wildlife tips, techniques and content ideas that I don't post on my YouTube channel or anywhere else. And it's launching soon. If you want, there's a link in the description to my website where you can go in and actually sign up to my email list. I'll send you monthly tips and tricks so you can improve your wildlife photography if you want. Now, here's what I like about DxO. The thing is that they've partnered with OEM systems to optimize their profiles so that we get the best results from their software. And I've been using it for the last few months now, and I was really excited to it. I've been using DxO with a paid license that I bought from my money for the last few months now. And funny enough, DxO reached out once they saw my channel to offer me a discount code, which gives 15% off DxO products. And you can use it to get 15% off of Pure Raw or Photolab. And it's not sponsored, I just genuinely use it every time I edit because I have the MFT problem of the ISO. And fun fact is that I've recently shot at 16,000 ISO, pushed the sensor to its limit during a night shoot, and that file is totally usable after this workflow. Now, I love really much how everything went with the photo so far. On to the next photo. So this one was one of the favorite photos from this summer that I took. And it was such a special moment to witness during sunset that stuck with me for a lot of time. And while my favorite shot is printing, which is this one, let me show you the results on my website. You can go on alexandrulamba.com and see the galleries with my photos and with the videos I make, as well as the articles I'm writing. So this is why I do this. Let me show to you how it's looking on paper. So, it's absolutely fabulous. Just look at this. I love the colors and I love how everything looks like on paper. I love the light, the rim and everything else. It's absolutely fantastic to see your work printed, and to admire it on paper. It's a different feeling, and it's a different way that wildlife photography gives you the pleasure and the happiness. So here's what I want to know from you. Should I break down my full Lightroom workflow? Show you like the exact slides I'm using for different species? Or maybe you want to see how I handle the backlit situations, the underexposed files, or other editing tools? Drop a comment and let me know what part of editing process you struggle with most, and I'll make more videos on the topics you want to actually learn from me. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the next episode, I'm taking you to one of my favorite spots in Romania, and you'll want to see this. Hit subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content, and let's grow together. Until we meet again.